Hi guys, for today's session, we'll learn about the introduction of DIAPI. So first, we will learn about the general architecture of the DIAPI. So in this slide, provides the details about software architecture of the Data Interface API or DIAPI. The business functions are included on the implementation layer. So the implementation is the observer DLL. The DLL is based on existing source code of SAP Business One client, and the objects of the SAP Business One client were copied to the DLL. So you can access the business objects of SAP Business One by addressing the interface layer, which is represented by SAP babscom.dll. In addition to the existing business objects, you can also address more generic records such as record set object. So we will deep dive on how to use uh, the sub babscom more details on the next sessions. So the next topic is the DIAPI software architecture. So here we can see the data manager. The data manager stores the temporary object data, converts object data to external data formats, retrieves data from the databases, and controls the database transactions. The schema generator creates XML schemas based on object interface descriptions. The schema generator also creates the object validation list. The DI core, which is the main component of the DI API, perform all the data logic operations. So the COM interface provides the interface to the add-on application. The DI API uses the observer DLL component to perform all the business logics operation. So the observer DLL component is not part of the DI API package, but it is distributed with SAP Business One application. The DI API is a wrapper to the observer DLL. So next is the side-by-side model. So DIAPI's version should be equal to the company version or slower than that. For example, if the company version is 8.8, then the DIAPI version can be 2007 or 8.8. Maximum is the company version. So Observer DLL version will be equal to the company version. So in details, if the reference version of the API installed in the client PC is 8.8, so the an add-on application using 2007 can connect to the company database version of 2007 or 8.8. But an add-on application using a DI API 8.8 can only connect to a company version of 8.8. You cannot connect to a version 2007. So please note, for record set object, compatibility may change due to incompatible changes in database structure. So let's talk about the three categories or basic groups of the API. So here are the object categories. First is the business object. So under business objects, you can see the master data objects. Under master data objects, there are business partners, items, warehouses, chart of accounts. And also under business objects, you can see the transactional data objects. Transactional data objects includes the journal entries, documents such as sales order, sales invoice, purchase order, purchase invoice, and the likes. Also, another basic group is the infrastructure object. So here we can see the company object. Also, we can see here the extended functionality objects like record set, data browser, and SBO pub. In infrastructure objects also, we have the metadata objects, which we use to create user tables, user keys, user fields, and objects. Special objects are also here. So we will discuss this on the next sessions. And also, there are objects related to Subbusiness 1 GUI API. So the first object is the business object. So business objects represents records in a Subbusiness 1 database. So this is often distributed across multiple tables. This is not only saved on a one table or two table, but it can be ranges from 10 tables and up. So it represents also the functionality of the SAP Business One application. So business objects also provides access to data. It enables you to modify the data in the database. So sample functions are get by key, read, add, update, and remove. So using business object, the rules and checks, including the authorization, applies on the DIAPI. So next is the infrastructure object. Infrastructure object includes the company object. The company object is the main object of the DIAPI. It represents one company database on an MS SQL or SAP HANA database. So we use this to access the objects in the DIAPI. Extended functionality objects like record set. So record set used to run SQL queries and store procedures, data browsers, and SBO Bob. So because the database tables are accessed directly, testing must be done after upgrading Subject 1 because database structures might have been changed. The DIAPI record set object has nothing to do, for example, with ADO record set. Also, we have the metadata, user-defined, the user tables MD, which we use to create user tables, user keys, MD. We use this to define an index for a user table, user fields MD to create user fields in the Subbusiness 1 standard tables or on your user field or user table, and the user object MD, which we use to define user-defined objects. So on our next topic, on our next session, we will talk about company object. We will talk about how to connect or establish a connection to the database side using Visual Studio. So that's all for today for this session. So thank you.